Never sort of shocked at DC's ability to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. They talk about the DOJ needs to look at the fact they're stifling competition. 100% true. That's the way to go. The most elegant way to do this. Be pro-competition, not pro-government with regulation. Antitrust, in my view, has never not worked. I think it'd be great for the economy. And then they say, but we also need to look at how they've been stifling free speech. That is wrong. That is a plain dumb argument. The focus will be there, and it'll mess up the whole thing. So if they were going right after anti-competitive monopolistic behavior, I think they'd have a shot. But instead, everyone's going to be focused on this partisan, ill-informed, non-data supported issue around whether conservative voices are being restricted on social media, which just isn't true. I think it'll create a sideshow, and the DOJ efforts will probably fall flat. That's my fear.
Anish, your thoughts on this, given the testimony we saw on the Hill yesterday and also this upcoming meeting from the DOJ? Do you think regulation is something that is coming for these companies, and what do you think it needs to look like?
Yeah, I think it's going to take three forms. First, I would characterize the DOJ comments as a bit more popcorn than substance, which means it's going to be an area of discussion but not going to result much in activity. But two, really I viewed the hearing yesterday as to prioritize up the ladder industry self-regulation. I think you're going to see a lot more activity on fake accounts, on ethical guardrails for artificial intelligence, and on new models of consumer transparency, which don't need new regulations, really need the industry to get their act together. And I think Senator Warner kind of set the stage by saying, get your act together or we're going to have to intervene. And then last but not least, there is an important point to note here that the Federal Trade Commission has been asked to kind of look at Google's search algorithms again. If you recall, the FTC during the Obama administration had a similar evaluation, and it was a close call as to whether or not the search algorithms inherently had competitive bias. And so I think I'd pay attention to how the FTC will revisit that issue as an existing regulation that gets exercised basically on new facts or new commissioners.
Anish, I can't help but feel, though, like there's no regulation looming that's really going to change the competitive dynamic for these companies. I mean, everybody's talking about, oh, we're going to need some regulation, expect it to be coming. Sheryl Sandberg saying, oh, it's not a matter of whether we're going to be regulated, it's a matter of smart regulation. But nobody's talking about anything specific that I can see changing the dynamic here. Do you feel differently?
Yeah, I do. So let me give you an example. Imagine on the issue of fake accounts. Imagine if the industry reached consensus that you had to verify the individual before you set up a social media account, akin to the banking regulations on Know Your Customer. The industry could reach a consensus to do something like that, and they could establish policies that say, well, if you have a verified account, you get to have your potential posts go viral if they so choose, if the market responds. But those who are unverified, well, they may be constrained in their reach. There may be some industry standards that regulate this whole idea of bots and fake accounts that actually will make a meaningful difference in the way you and I consume social media. That doesn't require new regulation, but consensus that then is enforceable by agencies like the Federal Trade Commission.
Scott, we're looking at a stock board right now of the social media companies, and once again, if you take a look at Alphabet, which is Google's parent company, it's down, but it's down second day in a row, not as much as Twitter or Facebook, yet lawmakers slammed Google yesterday for not sending their CEO.
Yeah.
Are investors shrugging off, what's coming for Google, or do you think there's actually blowback here?
A little bit, but I think it's short term. It's hard to look at these stocks and not on most traditional metrics, maybe with the exception of Amazon, not look at them and say that they're pretty good buying opportunities. Yesterday had the best and the worst brand moves by companies in 2018. And the worst brand move, hands down, was Google's decision not to send somebody. And that picture of that empty statement, why does Google not send anybody? The answer is simple, and it's a number, 93. When you have 93% market share, and basically they've said we're busier than the Senate. And that is just a bad brand rap.